Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 most bizarre borders you won't believe exist. When we think of a country's border, you probably imagine giant fences and walls and a lot of passport control, but this is not the same in some parts of the world. From zip-wire borders to country borders located in cafes, you won't believe these borders actually exist. But before we get into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? Coming in at number 10, we have China and Mongolia. This border isn't the most impressive on this list, but it is by far the funniest. And it's one border that everyone who passes through must get a photo with. Across the border are two dinosaurs kissing each other. The dinosaurs are sauropods, and they really are showing each other some love. But the question is, why on earth are these statues even here? Well, there are two reasons for this. First of is to advertise something called Dinosaurs Fairyland, which is a dinosaur amusement park in a nearby town. So this is kind of like one big advertisement which brings in a lot of money for the local economy. And also the area wanted to show off that they're a fossil hotspot. Put all of those reasons together and you get this one hilarious border. However, it seems the border gets a lot more attention than Dinosaur Fairyland itself. But let's be honest, how could you not stop and check out two dinosaurs making out? The cool thing about this border is the dinosaurs are to the scale of how big they really were all those years ago. We all know China used a wall to border Mongolia and scare Mongolian warriors off, but I think these giant dinosaurs would have done the trick when it comes to scaring people off. Next up is Spain and Portugal. Now, a lot of the time borders are pretty boring, right? They're simply a fence that lets people in and out of a place. Well, at this border between Spain and Portugal, there are no fences at all. Instead, there's a river, but there's no bridge going over it. So you may be wondering, how do you get from Spain to Portugal? Well, you have to take something more awesome than a car or a boat. That is, a zip wire. This has got to be the most fun and funny border ever. However, I'm guessing anyone with a fear of heights would simply have to find another border. The zip wire goes at 50 miles an hour and has a toll of only $12. And the zip wire also sets you back in time by 1 hour thanks to the time zone difference. You simply show the zip wire attendant your passport and away you zip. The journey's only around 60 seconds long and the wait isn't long either. That is a lot better than a nasty traffic jam on the highway. Also, I don't think that most borders get such an awesome view. Unfortunately though, this zip wire can only take you to Portugal. If you want to get back to Spain, you'd need to take a boat over a different border. Next up is Belgium and Netherlands. Certain borders are very tight and it wouldn't be uncommon to see armed guards and barbed wire fences. And even if a border doesn't have those things, no border in the world would be described as relaxed, right? Well, this border between Germany and the Netherlands literally goes through a cafe. You can enter this cafe in the Netherlands and leave in Belgium and vice versa. While most borders are very uptight and official, you can literally have an espresso on this border. There are no fences here at all, and instead there's just two stone slabs. One says NL for Netherlands and the other B for Belgium. The cafe is called Den Engel and is actually rated 5 stars. The town the border lies on is called Baal Nossa, and it's nicknamed the most complicated border town in the world. It may also be complicated for the cafe, but thanks to this weird border, the cafe is now internationally famous. And this is now the most visited place in the entire town, as you pretty much have to go to this cafe if you want to check out the cool border. This border sure is a lot more welcoming than the US-Mexico border. Next up is Switzerland and Italy. One word that wouldn't be used to describe borders are nice. They're often very functional government buildings and are not usually very interesting. And of course, they're known for their tight security and unsightly barbed wire fences and so on. Well, if you go to the border of Switzerland and Italy, you may not even realize there's a border there. A few sticks and a thin orange string maps out the borders here. The point of these are not to stop people traveling in and out of the countries, but to simply make sure people know where they are. Technically, you're not supposed to cross the border here as there's no passport control. But I guess that fact also makes it a place where literally anyone can cross the border. The border's very plain and picturesque and looks like a postcard. And instead of a giant wall or a fence, there's something that could easily be confused for a ski barrier. In fact, I think even a ski slope barrier is more secure than this border. We all know that Switzerland is very peaceful and both countries are in the EU, so citizens can travel freely without visas or anything like that. Would you ever want to check out this awesome and peaceful border? If you do, then be warned, it's very hard to get there, but if you do, you'll have no trouble getting into Italy or Switzerland. Next up is Thailand, Laos and Myanmar. The nickname of this border that borders these three countries is called the Golden Triangle. This is because the countries all back onto each other, making a triangle shape. You must have heard of being able to be in 4 states at once at the Four Corners Monument in the USA, but here you can be in 3 countries at once, which is much more impressive to brag to your friends about. This border is by some water on a river and is made on one large painted wooden triangle. Each country is painted a different color, with Thailand being yellow, Laos being red, and Myanmar being green. The cool thing about this border being in a triangular shape is that you can stand in the middle of this thing and be in 3 countries at once. and it can also be used as a super basic map as it literally points you in the direction of each country. This place is a popular tourist hotspot and the only place on Earth where you can be in more than 2 countries at any given time. And in case you're wondering why they call this triangle the Golden Triangle, it's not to do with gold. Instead, it's because of the water in the river. The river's pretty dirty, making the water a brown gold color, but I guess the brown triangle didn't really have the same ring to it. Next up is Mexico and the USA. So, a lot of you guys watching probably have seen this border. You may assume the border's very boring and harsh with large fences and guards everywhere. But remember, that's only on the main points of entry. One area of the border is actually very peaceful and friendly. At one part of the border, locals from Mexico and the US played a game of volleyball over the fence together. And that's an electric fence, so this is like extreme volleyball. But even so, this is a very awesome and powerful photo, especially as there seems to be a lot of tension between Mexico and the US when it comes to borders, so it's great to see citizens coming together. Apparently, this is a common thing that these people and others do, and local kids from both Mexico and the US enjoy playing this game over the border. The reason they can do this here is because the security's more lax. Sure, there are still guards and fences, but this area is not near any highways, but instead next to towns on both sides. Would you ever want to have a game of border volleyball? If the US ends up building that wall, I hope they make it low enough so these guys can still play volleyball. Next up is Canada and the USA. So we've seen a border go through a cafe, which made things inconvenient for them. Well, if you thought that was inconvenient, then check out this border between Canada and the USA. This border goes through an entire town, making life very difficult for the residents. The town is called Derby Line, and the border goes right through the buildings of this town. Many homes and businesses have metal lines going through them to show the border. And there's even a street in the town with a sign saying, "Don't drive onto the USA on this street." There are no border patrol here, however, and there are no fences either. This means you can literally stand in 2 countries at once, which is pretty cool. So if the US and North Korea decide to go at one another, you can safely use this route to escape to Canada. Just imagine wanting to visit your neighbor but having to go into another country to do it. Seriously, some people here live in the same town but in a different country. How mail arrives to the right places in this area is a mystery to me. Next up is Poland and Ukraine. So we've seen the China and Mongolia border, which features 2 dinosaurs kissing. Well, that's not the only border that features animals. The border between Poland and Ukraine are decorated with 2 giant fish. The fish are made in the fields around the border, kind of like how a crop circle is made. The fish weren't made by aliens though, but by an artist named Jaroslaw Koziara from Poland. They wanted to sow the seeds of unity between Poland and Ukraine, and it looks like they've done this pretty well. It looks simple from above, but these fish are actually made of over 23 different types of plants. You may think the fish look kind of wacky on the border, but people love them and they spread a good message of unity. And the artist who created these has even won awards for their work. Sadly, these can't be seen if you're just driving by. But if you happen to be passing over the Poland-Ukraine border in a helicopter, as you do, then check out these border fish. Which animal border did you prefer, the dinosaurs or these fish? Next up is Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. Now this is not a border between countries, but instead between oceans. Where the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean mix, it looks photoshopped, but it's 100% real. Some people think that the ocean's water won't mix, however this is not the case. The glacial water meeting the shores of the Gulf of Alaska makes an off water density and temperature. So it's because the Atlantic Ocean has glacial water and the Pacific Ocean has offshore water. These waters do not blend together, which makes this amazing divide between 2 seas. The glacial water coming from the Atlantic is a green color because of the salinity of the water, and the offshore water coming from the Pacific Ocean is a dark blue. This is because of the salinity and the water density in the area. There's a lot of science to this border, but it looks amazing. Even a boat going across these waters won't mix them, and some have even mistaken it for an oil spill, as it seems impossible that it could be so different in one area. Like the fish border, this one of course looks better from above. But even so, this border is one of the most amazing and most unexplained in the world, as there are so many false theories about this border. Next up is Norway and Sweden. This has been dubbed the most beautiful border in the world. We all know that a lot of what makes up the countries Norway and Sweden are snowy forests. Well, this doesn't mean they didn't want to show off their border. The border here has no security or fence and is in the middle of nowhere. What they did to create the border was cut down a line of trees. This makes an amazing view from the top of the mountains, as you can see exactly where they've cut to maintain a perfect line without trees. The reason why they've done this is because people traveling wouldn't know whether they were in Norway or Sweden otherwise. It looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but believe it or not, some people actually use this route to get to the 2 countries. This border is amazing as it seems totally symbolic on the surface, but really it serves an actual purpose and is one of the most heavily photographed borders in Europe. Check out the poll in the top right corner and vote for the most amazing border on this list. And be sure to check out my second channel, The Crafty. There's some amazing videos on there and one will be coming up on screen in a moment, so click it to check it out. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what you're waiting for, subscribe to Top 10s.